Thank the EAA, the EAA Warbirds of America, making this possible. This wonderful opportunity that we have today. I want to share these gentlemen and many more to come to the microphone today, and hopefully the weather holds out today so they can get up there and maybe do a little flying as well. On my right, I believe I have
Ludwig.
Howard Ludwig.
Yes.
Okay, and you're from Lamont?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we're going to come back and visit you in just a minute. Okay. And then over here we have
Morris Reinke.
Okay.
From Lamont.
From Lamont. Both of you are from Lamont. Now the big secret here that we're going to let these people know is that before we get into talking about your missions and flying on the B-17, the two of you actually went to school together.
Yeah. Well, we weren't in the same class.
Yeah.
I'm an old timer.
He's an old timer.
He was upperclassman. What were you, a freshman?
I'm 86 now. So
he's 89, so that meant you a freshman. He was like a junior or something, right? Yeah. You didn't talk to him then, I'll bet.
No, I knew who he was, you know, but he was a young punk. But he's a heck of a nice kid even then.
Was he?
Yeah.
All right.
That much I'm going to give him.
Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about this B-17. We've seen it out there. We're going to watch it land and take off, and you guys, I think, are going to have an opportunity to fly. Tell me about your times with the B-17.
Well, I spent a lot of time with him because I start training in him at Hobbs, New Mexico, on February 18th, 1944. That was after I'd finished my cadet training for pilot, and I was assigned to go there and learn how to be a pilot of a B-17. And we started on February 18th of 44, and I don't remember the exact time I got out of there. I think I was there for 9 or 10 weeks, something like that. And then after I had been there, I know I graduated from there with an okay as being qualified for any job the pilot or the co-pilot had. I had learned both of those because we used to fly with 2 people when we didn't have, to help you out. So it was an interesting
time.
Yeah, and very busy. And I guess we learned a lot because when we left, we got sent to Lincoln, Nebraska, and they crewed us up with a 10-man crew. I got a co-pilot, navigator, bombardier, and there were 6 armor gunners on each crew. The only problem was I didn't get a navigator because they were short of navigators. So then they sent us to Sioux City, Iowa to learn how to fly for going overseas and doing the dirty work with bombs and so forth. And so I had to do all the navigating because I didn't have a navigator, because we flew a lot of flights out around the Badlands. We were flying out of Sioux City. And even had to do a few navigator flights. And then the last 3 weeks, they finally showed up with my navigator. That was a 9-week course that they were giving us. I was 6 weeks without a navigator, but the rest of us all stayed together pretty well.
So that was 1944.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And after training, what takes place?
Well, after that, when we finished training with the crews, then I was sent back to Lincoln Air Base, and some of them were just sent somewhere else. There were, I guess, about maybe 25 crews, or between 20 and 25 crews, they sent to Lincoln. The rest of them, they didn't tell us where they sent them. And I went down there, and they issued us a B-17 to take to England. That's what they were, so the whole crew, and we had a lot of work to do. It took us about a week. We had to swing the compasses and do all kinds of little things with the crew. And they were agitating us, I think, too, because they made us 24 hours a day have a 2-man crew in there to guard the airplane and don't let anybody near it. But nothing ever happened while we were there, and they finally let us take off and leave for England.
And when you're in England and the European theater, what takes place?
Well, in my case, like I said, I took the thing to England. It took about 5 days. And then I was in the replacement depot for the 8th Air Force to send out, because they had, gosh, they must have had 20 or 30 groups of B-17s there. And the group is 4 squadrons. And I was happy that I got there. And next thing you know, they took 3 crews in the middle of the night and said, get on the train, and in London somebody will meet you and tell you what to do. Oh, okay, so I went there and we reported in at 10 in the morning, and the guys marked us in. He says, okay, now you guys, if you want to see London, now's your chance. He said, be back here at midnight. They're not telling us where we're going, what we're going to do, where we're going to go.
Just be back at midnight.
But that's normal, I guess, in any service. But anyway, when we came back, so we went out and saw London. We hired an old 70-story old guy that knew the thing, and the whole bunch of us got a good look at all the better sights. Of course, London had been taking a hell of a beating for years before that. Anyway, then at midnight, they take us down to the train station and put us on this train. I couldn't believe it. Now, in the middle of the war, and you know how England got hit, they put me on a car, they and my 3 officers. The poor 6 enlisted men got shoveled into a car with seats. I had a goddamn Pullman. Oh, pardon me.
All right.
Scratch that out, will you please? But, I don't know. It just didn't make any sense to me. They had a porter, and he told me when I got done, put your shoes outside in the hallway. And when I got up the next morning, it's the best shine that pair of Army shoes ever had on it. And they served you breakfast in your room. And where did they take us? Out to a town I called Newquay, Newquay. And they were going to, then they put us on an airplane there. And they flew us out over the ocean and into Casablanca, and then up to Tunis, and then into Naples. And we end up in the replacement depot of the 15th Air Force down in Italy.
So on and on the journey goes for you.
Well,
for
that was it. And they sent me to a 97th Bomb Group, which was probably a really good thing to have happen to you, since it was the first bomb group that dropped a bomb on Europe. They were in England then. But I had a nice time, and I flew my 35 biggies from Foggia, Italy, Amendola Airfield.
How many missions?
35.
35 missions.
Yeah, 35.
It was great meeting you. Great meeting you. Have a fun day today. You know, it's a lot nicer day today than 1944, 1945, right? Yeah, welcome. Have you been here before with the B-17? This is the 4th year, I think, that they skipped last year. And
I was here, what, 3 times? 3 times.
3 times?
Yeah.
What's it like? What's it like looking at that B-17 today versus the B-17 back in your day?
Well, it's all stripped. The inside isn't the same, you know, and you know, the gunnery positions and things like that aren't on this plane. So it's not the same as a combat plane,
Right.
but it's a 17G, you know, which was a great airplane.
What made it a great airplane?
It could take a lot of punishment and still get back home. We got hit, and a lot of times had, you know, quite a few flak holes in it, but we still made it back.
As a B-17 crew member, what were you doing on that plane?
I was a ball turret gunner.
It makes me nervous just to hear you say that. Just to hear you say that, because I've been in some of these things, and I just get, like my cameraman, claustrophobic just sitting in there, much less having to do the work. How did you get in there, and what was the training like?
Well, I enlisted, and I enlisted in the cadet program. Okay, I was going along fine, and then I don't remember exactly what what the date was, but they canceled the cadet program because they didn't need any more pilots or navigators or anything like. They had enough. So I had the option whether I could, if I wanted to, I could stay in the Air Corps, or I could get released, and then I'd be open for the draft. So I wanted to stay in the Air Force, which I did.
Yeah. Now, how many missions?
19.
19 missions.
Mm-hmm.
Sharing some of that, maybe one of those missions, they were all challenges. It had to be pretty scary. Every single time you took off, it had to be scary.
Yeah, they were shooting at you.
Yeah. When your job there, your position as a gunner, your position is take care of those the planes coming at you, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
It wasn't you're not hitting. The bombardiers are taking care of the enemy below, but you're really the defense of the plane. We
didn't have a bombardier. We didn't have a navigator either. I don't know why, whether they were short on supply, but our nose gunner on our crew was our bombardier. He, when you're getting over towards the target, they'd just tell him he'd move up, set his bomb sight and everything, and then when the lead plane, he'd follow the lead. When the lead plane dropped their bombs, he dropped ours.
It's amazing. It truly is amazing. Then to, in the 40s, fighting that war, the Great War, the Great Generation, and then today's technology from drones to what they have flying today. Let me ask you a question on that. We have many veterans here today we'll be talking to. What was it like to be a member of that crew? I think the movie was Memphis Belle or something, if I recall. Was it anything like that?
No, we had a great crew. Our pilot was Fred I. Eglin. If you heard Eglin Field in Florida, well, his father was a lieutenant colonel, and he crashed and got killed where the Eglin Air Base is in Florida. So he went, his dad got killed, then he went to West Point. He went right and they accepted him right away. And he was doing fine, and in his last year at West Point, he got sick. He had, I don't know, pneumonia or something like that. Anyway, he was in the hospital for about 2-3 months. And at that time, if you couldn't stay with your crew, you were off. Yeah. And that's what happened to him. He got, he wound up like freelance. And so when the time came up, we were all just put together, and he was our pilot. Wow. And Don Volz was our co-pilot, and but we didn't have a bombardier, we didn't have a navigator.
Did you know that? I bet you didn't know that. There'll be nuggets that those of you who are historians, those of you who are curious, those of you who are just now learning a bit more about World War II and the B-17, we're going to have all kinds of nuggets for you as we interview these great men. Thank you to the two of you. Sure. Gentlemen, great privilege talking to you as we continue our conversations with our veterans. We were talking before with Maury Yellen, by the way, and great to meet you again.
Yes,
it's good to see you. This gentleman, you have a relative who's in the broadcast business.
Yeah, my son Larry Yellen, he's with Fox News Chicago.
Yeah. And
my daughter is a freelance camera girl in San Jose, California. They have 2 kids.
We're going to send a DVD to them so they can see you in action here.
Thank you.
Tell me, we got the B-17 out at Lewis Airport. at Lewis University today. Is this the first time you're seeing this, or have you been here before?
I've never been to Lewis University before.
Okay, well, it's going to be a good time for you. We're going to get you up on a plane, and you know, you'll have some memories. The inside isn't going to be the same, but the outside certainly is. Tell me a little bit about what you were doing. You were a Bombardier and navigator.
I was a Bombardier on a B-17 with a crew of 10 people who I had 51 missions in Italy. Actually 36 missions over the target, but some missions were twice because they were longer. Why they gave us 2, we don't know. I know that I lost my crew after I finished up in Italy because my entire my crew didn't finish up with us. When I got to Italy, after about 3 or 4 missions, we flew with other crew members to indoctrinate ourselves with the airplane and with the flying. And after about 4 or 5 missions, we lost our entire squadron of 7 airplanes in Italy. So after that, I never flew with my crew again. I flew as a lead bombardier or as a bombardier with anybody that needed a bombardier. And we were split up. After I finished up in January of 1945, my crew, the majority of them hadn't finished. They were shot down over Germany. And they landed, my pilot, Woody Woodruff, landed the airplane. Nobody got killed, but after they were on the ground, some of them were assassinated by the German people. And they were tried at Nuremberg, and they were found guilty. Of my entire 10 that I went over with, my co-pilot had got shot down in Europe. He lived, and my lower turret gunner was from Indianapolis. He lived. Of the 10 that I went over with, there were just 3 of us that came back from overseas.
We're glad to meet you. We're glad you're here with us today. You have a great day.
Thank you very much.
You bet. All right. Well, we want to talk to a gentleman now, Don Shee, from all the way from West Gurnee out there, and almost to the Cheddar Curtain.
Downers Grove.
Downers Grove? Oh, I've got you down. They got you down here as West Dundee. Well, Downers Grove is a suburb of West Dundee. How's that? Scoot in here just a little closer for me. Okay. And Don, you were a waist gunner, and what did again, describe for the viewers who may not know just where that is located on the B-17.
Waist gunner is W-A-I-S-T. You know, it's in the middle of the fuselage between the radio room and the tail, and there's one on the right side and one on the left side.
Yeah. And you were telling me earlier that you wanted to talk about 2 particular missions. Let's do that.
Okay, well, the one mission is toward the end of the war, when the people in the Netherlands were really starving to death, and the 8th Air Force, along with the British, flew a series of missions known as Operation Chowhound, where they dropped food. I think it was in a soccer field that received the packages of food and a variety of things that they were going to eat to keep from starving to death. And it was known as Operation Chowhound, but the GIs renamed it Spam Over Amsterdam. And the other mission that I like to talk about is we were going to give ground support, or I should say air support, for General Patton and his troops, the tank people. And we were all loaded up with our ammunition and our bombs, and everything was ready to go. The engines were started, and 2 red flares came out of the tower, which means the mission was scrubbed. And so then we had to go back and be debriefed, and found out that the place that we were going to bomb was already run over by Patton. He was there and gone, so he moved pretty fast.
He moved pretty fast is correct. The many missions, how many missions did you have total?
Well, I don't even talk about them.
Yeah. But I mean, you have more than those 2 missions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I know it's difficult to talk about those missions, and best kept with
A
you.
long time ago.
Yeah, long time ago. I am delighted to meet you. We're privileged to have you out here at Lewis University. Have you been here before?
Yes, I have.
And what's it like?
You mean?
Yeah, the experience coming out here.
It's very, it's kind of spine chilling a little bit. Gives you the goosebumps when those engines start.
Yeah, well, I've heard those engines start as well, and I don't have any memories of those years, but I can tell you that if you get a chance, you get an opportunity next year to come out here, do so. Look for the paper, the radio, publicity, PR. They usually come out here about this time of the year, toward the end of summer, early September, and I've been out here 4 years. They weren't here last year, but 3 years in a row they were. And in talking to the crew, it looks like they're going to come back again. But a good day for you, good sunshiny day out here at the Lewis University, Lewis Airport. And we're going to continue with our conversations with our veterans in just a moment. All right, we're going to be interviewing these folks out here. The veterans have been so fantastic today, and we're underneath the B-17. And who am I talking to here?
I'm Howard Jacklin.
Howard, what position were you on this plane?
Ball turret.
All right, and that is
A gunner.
That's a gunner.
Yeah.
I know. They were going to try to get you up in there today, weren't they?
Well, I'll go in there. I'll fit.
Yeah. Well,
It's a possibility.
one of the things that's interesting about you gunners is that you had to be a certain height. Because
Right.
there's no way I could have been in there.
No, I can still fit in there, I think. I'm short enough to fit in there, I think.
What
I'd like to go in there.
Well, you're going to. I think
Oh,
I think they can arrange that for you.
Wonderful.
And let me just tell me a little bit about your experiences on the B-17.
Well, I flew in the States mostly. I didn't get overseas. It was towards the end of the war, 45, and the war was over in Europe, so I didn't get a chance to go over. We had 2 times that we were going to go over, but never got over. So I stayed in the States. I was safe.
You were safe, and we were safe because of all of you. Thank you. You have a, let's see, you've got a granddaughter here and a niece here. You've got groupies here today. And this is Ted Michi?
Ted Michi.
All right, Ted. Your experiences on the B-17.
Well, the most difficult one was the last 4 Berlin raids I made. The last 4. And it was what they say. They threw everything up there for us. But thankful I came back.
These B-17s could take a hell of a lot of punishment, couldn't they?
They do. They do. They do.
It's fantastic.
They'll travel on one engine if you let it go. Throw everything out. But
Ted, what were you doing when you were flying around on these missions?
I was a radio man.
Ah.
Radio gunner.
You know, it's so interesting, Ted. Almost every one of these gentlemen, when I say, what do you do, it's either radio operator, bombardier, navigator. It's not just one. You did a lot of different things.
Yeah, they do a lot of different things. In fact, the radio position, sometimes you have to go and relieve the others, even the ball turret man.
Yeah.
And I've done that, where he got cold and I had to go and relieve him.
Where in the European theater were you at?
8th Air Force, always over Germany. In England, always. It never went anywhere else.
Okay. So you were on the raids over Germany?
Over Germany. Norway, Belgium, all over.
Ted, thank you so much for standing out here. I'm going to just go right behind you. Stay right where you're at. Don't go away. Right here. And this gentleman is?
I'm Bill Thorne's flight engineer.
Flight engineer.
Right, supposedly.
Was that like the...
Back in those days, they called them aerial engineers.
Ah. And now there's a lot of kids and students who will be watching this as well. What did you do? What does that mean?
Well, the flight engineer did myriad of things. He most of the time stood between the 2 pilots, yelled out airspeeds, transferred fuel, cranked up or cranked down the landing gear, or the bomb bay's doors in case they didn't work, and myriad of other things.
Yeah. Cranking down the landing gear is probably pretty important.
Yes, yes, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was done by hand, wasn't it?
Well, yeah.
At times?
I had 2 missions that were rather risky. I was on one mission on October the 14th, 1943. That was my 20th birthday, pulling my 19th mission. Wow. And then on August the 17th, previous to that, I was flying to Regensburg on a mission, and that 3 years later became my wedding day.
Wow, isn't that
So I have
fantastic?
milestones.
You know what's so interesting about you guys? It's because I did not ask you all your ages now, and that's fine. We can tell you're all young at heart. But the fact of the matter is you were 19, 20, 21 back in those days. Amazing, isn't it?
You got that right.
You
Yes.
know, kids.
Younger than that, 18.
18 years old. That is so amazing when you think about the missions, the what you did, and what you accomplished at such a young age. And I hope that those of you who are watching here as students of Lewis University, those of you who are watching on Channel 6 who are 18, 19, and 20 years old, this is the kind of achievement and accomplishment you can have. Gentlemen, we salute you. Thank you so much for taking time out.
I wish I was 19, 20 right now.
Yeah, me too. Let's go flying. All right, and your name, sir?
Charlie Mueller.
Charlie Mueller. You look like a, let's see, navigator.
You got it right.
Oh, but all right. Now I found out what a flight engineer does, and several of the guys said, well, they're navigator, bombardier. What did you do with all of that high technical equipment, all that technology that you had back in the big war? What did the navigator do?
He looked out the window to see where he was. Well, no, really. In going overseas, we went at night, so and the sunspot activity was affecting the magnetic compasses, so we had to use astronomical measurements to make it. But well, you laid out the where you were going to go to help the pilot course. In the 8th Air Force, you're flying in formation, so for the lead ships, it was following the line, and for the other people, it was following.
Follow that lead.
Yeah, yeah.
How many missions?
I just had 6.
6 missions in the European theater.
Mm-hmm.
You were based in what? Italy? England?
England. 8th Air Force is in.
Again, 8th Air Force. Your experiences as a navigator, what did that lead to after the war? What did you do after the war?
Oh, I became a teacher, a physics teacher.
Gentlemen, let's go flying.
Okay.
Well, Joe Bellman, I found you. Give me your hand there. I want to shake your hand, man. You're a hard guy to find. Everybody else was out here, and you were what? You were flying or jumping, or what were you doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a ride in somewhere along the line down there. That's what they tell me.
They're just about boarding the plane right now. We're going to go up. Joe, B-17 crew member, what were you doing on the B-17?
I was a ball turret gunner, and I flew 35 missions.
35 missions. I can always tell who are the gunners from the height.
Well,
because a guy like me could never fit in there.
That's right. Well, there's a lot of difference between me and myself now, and then I weighed about 130 pounds at that time, and I was 19 years old, and
yeah,
it makes a difference.
That's the amazing thing, Joe, that you guys were 19, 18, 19, 20 years old. That is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Young kids out there doing this.
You know, when you're young like that, you just don't give a damn what the hell you get into down there. If I'd have known I was getting into a ball turret and the danger that there was in it and one thing or another, I think I
They're on a different path.
certainly couldn't do it at my age, that's for sure.
Well, I want to congratulate you. You're in great shape. How old are you?
88.
Yeah, fantastic. So you want to be 88 years old someday? Joe's going to have a recipe on the Joliet Herald News. I'll see to it that you get something out there. Let folks know. Joe Bellman, great meeting you. Have a great flight.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Call your name. You're on the flight. Matt, Weischlack.
Joe. Matt, where's Matt?
Right here. Joe. Anthony Graf. Here. J.R. Schuster. Here. John Saul.
Here.
John Patch. Here. Rich Fredrickson.
Yo.
These are the veterans. Bill Thorne. Joe Bellman. Signed a waiver.
Yeah, that's good. You haven't got me on the list.
I don't. Right.
I think so.
Not have you on the list.
Okay, Mr. Bellman's here.
Okay, we have everybody. We have 11 passengers.
Okay, if everybody sneak in here, Meredith Willock is going to give you a briefing. He's right behind you there. Right.
Ex-military airplane. It has a military type seatbelt on it. A lot of people are not familiar with. Went in this big metal tab on it with a square cut out in it. The other end has a big metal lever on it and a looped metal piece. Slide the tab up underneath that loop, push down on that lever, and the hook comes up and engages in that square cut hole. Squeeze on it to lock it into place. Make sure it's locked in, so or else it won't hold you. Keep your eyes forward just after takeoff. I'll be up in the flight deck and I'll give you a thumbs up. That does mean it's a good ride, but it means it's okay to get unbuckle, get up and walk around, start taking your pictures and everything.
Question.
Yes.
How do you unbuckle?
Flip the lever up.
Flip the lever.
Hit the lever, knock it up.
Never known.
That's right. That's right. Then, as you're moving forward, you'll realize this airplane was built for slim and trim 20-year-olds. These guys are all 18, 20 years old. And going through the Bombay area is very narrow. So watch out for cameras, cell phones, or whatever. If it gets stripped off your waist or something, falls down in the Bombay doors, we have to wait till we get back on the ground to retrieve it. Because Bombay doors won't hold you up in flight, standing on it. Because of space limitations, besides myself, 2 people at a time up in the flight deck, and then 2 people at a time up into the nose section of the airplane. To get up in the nose section, go down between the pilot seats, crawl on your hands and knees, and then come back up, stand back up into the nose. Go up there, the navigator seat, or the Bombardier seat rather, is front seat. It's the neatest view in the airplane. Take your picture, look around for 30 seconds or a minute, come back out, because there's 10 other people that want to do the same thing. And it's easy to stay up there longer than what you realize, because it is such a mesmerizing view.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Bobby?
What?
So in other words, as you were
The words still pay for.
They don't